Alright guys, what's up? I got another scrim here. I was planning to finish off that BMG versus Random People series, but it appears I can't get replays for games 2 and 3, so, oh well, guess I won't do it then. Hopefully microphone's a little bit better this time. I took a look at the levels from that thing, and I think it was a little bit too quiet. Still audible for most of it, but just barely audible isn't really what we're shooting for here. So I'll take a look at this one at the end, and hopefully this will be better and maybe tweak it some more. Again, trying to figure out the new setup, so it might take a little bit of tweaking before things are really good. Got a scrim, is a live scrim actually. I'm right in the middle of this match, which is fun. I don't usually get to do that, and usually in this particular situation it doesn't really matter because it's not like I'm streaming anything live to Twitch anyway, but hey, it's fun to see it while it happens.
Tundra.
Another thing is, can I get asked questions? But wow, Tundra first pick. Two teams you probably don't know: FeIl eSports on Legion's side and IOYN on the Hellborn side. I don't know if that's their full name or not. I asked them for a team name, and that's what they gave me, so that's what I'm running with. But I basically picked this up because my buddy Enthos is in the captain spot on the Legion team. You might recognize that name because he's casted with me a fair bit. And Shorecan at the bottom on the green or the orange position is Shorecan or Shorken or Shorecan or Certain Can or Shorkbro or Shorkran. Shrokan, that's what Kandorf calls him. He has a lot of names, but you might know him as the dude who casted with Breaky at DreamHack. He's casted with me a lot. Good guy, and it appears they've got some sort of thing going there. Anyway, so don't know if Shorecan's an actual part of this team or if he's just ringing for this. I know Enthos is participating in the Hunter Season 4 qualifiers. I haven't actually seen his team to see if Shorecan's on that, but maybe he is, maybe he's not. Who cares? Let's just talk about this game, because there's a game going on. Tempest and Midas going to be the first two bands from Nightflux on the Hellborn side. Moira and Warbeast are the bands from Enthos. So, taking out the all-important Moira pick, considered generally the strongest support in the game right now. Has fallen off a little bit recently, but still really, really powerful, and can certainly understand why somebody would want to get rid of that. Strong suicides on Midas and Warbeast getting taken out, and Tempest, the jungle option, also being eliminated. Legion's not going to start out their draft with Magnus, Doctor, and Nymphora. So some versatility starting out here. Magnus can occupy both that suicide and that mid-roll. Nymphora and Doctor and Magnus, in fact, a pretty good combination, as the gank potential is pretty far off the charts for those three. But the first pick, Tundra, from the Hellborn side, has actually sort of countered a lot of this. If the Shiver is used appropriately, then a lot of Nymphora's gank potential is going to be negated. And you also have the Tundra and Parasite combination, where Parasite can hop into the bird. So I like the Nymph pick from Enthos. It's a solid hero, and one that we really don't see enough of. But in this particular game, I'm not sure how strong it is, to be honest, just because of that Tundra, because just quite frankly, she's going to get spotted out a lot. Now, she does have the advantage, of course, of being able to port way, way far away where the gank is actually going to happen because of the Doctor and the Magnus combination, potentially, of the last two heroes that get picked up. But it's not really something you want to have to rely on necessarily to successfully get your ganks off, and the fact that Tundra can counter as hard as he can is not perhaps the best option. There's definitely a point to be made, I think, for choosing your support in the last two picks, because there aren't too many that are particularly great against this. The other option could have potentially been Glacius. It does very good against Parasite, although, of course, the Parasite's picked after them before, I believe. So, or no, in fact, it was them for a third pick. So, yeah, I think I would have liked the Glacius here a lot better. Not only would the Ice Imprisonment do a lot against Parasite, of course, with the minions, but the additional mana for both Doctor and Magnus would be pretty damn huge. The Magnus Glacius lane, I think, is quite a powerful one, especially once you start to hit level 3 and 5, because Magnus' stun gets pretty significant, and then Glacius can follow it up with Thunder Blast, or even initiate with Thunder Blast, follow with a stun that allows Magnus to get into range because they're slowed, and then followed by an Ice Imprisonment, and there's a lot of kill potential in that sort of lane. So I like the Glacius pick a little bit more here, to be honest. Empath could definitely have been an option, pairs well with Dr. Repulsor. Rhapsody could have been an option, the stun combination with Magnus Pyromancer. It's definitely not a bad pick, Nymphora. As I said before, I like the hero, and I think she should be picked more, but in this particular instance, I don't particularly agree with it. Hellborn going to go with a third melee hero in the Ravenor, which I agree with even less. I suspect this is going to be a hard carry Ravenor, which is the only role really in which he works at all. We've seen Initiator Ravenor a ton, and it just does not do anything. So hopefully we'll be seeing that Rav in the short lane, and hopefully the Tundra in the middle lane, potentially Suicide. That's definitely an option. We don't exactly have strong laning presence from any of the three heroes on the Legion side right now, so I don't think a Suicide is out of the question at all for this Tundra, but I'd expect to see him in the middle lane in general, and then of course the Parasite in the woods. Tempest already banned out, and Ophelia is going to be banned in the second stage, along with the Behemoth from Nightflux. Antho's going to take out Empath, Meraxis, and Glacius, realizing that the Hellborn side does not have a support option, although he's still potentially looking for one himself, so could be a bit of an issue. The Engineer's still on the board. I know, of course, Shortcan plays a very good Engineer, and considering that the Parasite and Ophelia are both taken out, two of his stronger heroes, it could be a bit of a problem. He does also play Legionnaire, so that's definitely on the table right here, and in fact, I'd be kind of surprised if they didn't go for the Legionnaire. I think Shortcan's much stronger in general on the jungler than on the second support, and that's compounded by the fact that junglers are generally powerful than second support lineups, so you would expect to see, I think, the jungle option here, also against Parasite, who loves to pick on underleveled support heroes. So giving him more food in the form of second support may not be the best idea. The only way that that really works, I think, is if you harass him out significantly in the early game. But without the Glacius, I suspect that won't be feasible. Either way, Kraken is going to be the last ban here from Nightflux, so removing a lot of the initiation potential from the Behemoth of the Kraken. That doesn't make the most sense to me. They got Magnus already, and Dr. Pulsar can actually serve as some pretty solid initiation once he gets up to those higher levels in the mid to late game. He can jump in with the Nullstone and or Shrunken Head and not be too afraid of dying, especially if he has the backup from Mag and Nymphora and whatever else the Legion side will be picking, which is a Flux. So they in fact do go for another Strength Initiator. It's not the Behe or the Kraken. It's another good hard hero to kill that will be bringing people in, presumably to set up for the Magnus, and that's going to be their main initiation tool, which is nice because you don't usually want to have your Magnus be their first initiation, just simply because it's very, very difficult to hit a good eruption if you're the first one going in. You usually want somebody else to start the fight so that you can follow it up with the eruption, and then that can hit a lot more targets as everybody starts to clump up, and Dr. Pulsar generally doesn't want to be the first one to go in either, of course, because he is the carry, and you don't want to start a fight with your carry. You'd rather have him zipping around on the outside of the battle, not taking a ton of damage, and just being generally annoying as shit. Pharaoh going to be the fourth pick from the Hellborn side. More initiation potential for them, and it's the Wild Soul fifth pick there for the Legion side, so we'll talk about that in a second. But Pharaoh is a bit strange here. They do have the Tundra Cold Shoulder, which will, I think it does allow him to go through Mummy Walls, and of course the Ravenor Ball Lightning and the Parasite Facehug will as well. So Mummy Wall is not necessarily a serious issue here, but the bigger problem that I have is you've got a lot of melee heroes, probably most of whom won't be getting Ghost Marchers. What's that in Wild Soul?
Master of Arms.
Anyway, that seems very strange to me, just because the Mummy Walls are going to be extremely disruptive in these team fights. You already have 4 melee heroes who are going to have some difficulty getting through and around each other, just because, like I said, they're not going to buy Ghost Marchers for the most part. Tundra, Pharaoh, and Ravenor should not be buying Ghost Marchers. Parasite might. He could also go for Zero Boots. Those are definitely viable options, depending on your build. And I don't know if that Mummy Walls is really going to do a lot, to be honest. I feel like that could actually help the Legion side a lot more than the Hellborn side, what with Dr. Repulsor and Magnus both being heroes that could potentially get out of and into Mummy Walls very, very easily. It's not going to provide too much of a danger to them. It's mostly going to be an issue, I think, for this Hellborn side. So we'll see how it does. All in Excess is going to need to have some pretty ridiculously good Walls placements to be effective in this game, and maybe that's viable for him, maybe it's not, I don't know. But last two picks here for each side are Wild Soul and Master of Arms. Wild Soul is a hero that we don't see much recently, mostly because he got taken out of tournament rules and obviously therefore was not eligible to be played. Before that we didn't see him just because he wasn't that good. People pretty much figured out how to counter him in the Suicide lane, and he's since seen a pretty significant rework, so We'll see if he's the cancer that he's been reported to be in TMM. I haven't played a lot of TMM these days, but mostly mid-wars because I don't play a lot of Han and I'd rather have short games. But it's Wildsoul's generally been a bit of a problem, so I've heard in team matchmaking, and people are saying that he could potentially be a very, very powerful hero in Han Tour Season 4, and I certainly buy it. His skill set is significantly improved, and he is looking like he's going to be running as a jungler right here. In general, I don't like that. I don't know if that's going to work any better with the rework. My guess is it will, because I believe he's usually been played in the woods since he's gotten some changes. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know what to expect from Wild Soul, to be honest. Shurkin asking me what the stats are on it, and like I told him, we haven't seen Wild Soul in so fucking long, I don't know what to do. But it looks like he'll be actually pulling up here for the suicide lane, and it's going to be Enthos in the suicide role on that Magnus. That's going to be extremely helpful, just because suicide Magnus is usually not great. It's fine, but it's not good, and in general, I think he does so much more in other roles that I'd much rather see him in the middle or even the short lane, just because he needs that portal key. The support role, I think, is better than him, because yeah, he's going to get a later portal key, but he's not going to be taken farm away from anybody else. And it looks like the Hellborn side are going to do a pretty good job of preventing this pull from doing much of anything. They've dragged the creep wave into the jungle, haven't taken a lot of damage from it, and Magnus is not going to get good positioning right off the bat. Actually take a lot of damage from both stuns, and it's possible he's going to need to use his Lava Surge and a health pot to get away. No, just going to run it on out, and he should be fine. Going to eat some trees, and I would have preferred to see the health potion taken right there, just because he needs to get his health back up relatively quickly, lest he get hit by the double stun combination again. At level 2, I think perhaps even if he eats another tree or so, he could be vulnerable to a kill right there. We saw him take more than half of his health. He won't have Steam Bath, obviously, as an option. Nice D-ward there coming out from Master of Arms. Will spot out the Magnus Ward of Sight, which didn't actually grant him all that much vision, but is generally going to be very, very frightening up here for Enthos, as he's not only got dual lane, but he also has to deal with the Parasite. Gonna send the Steam Bath right there, just leave some EXP, which is fair, but Ravener is gonna have entirely free farm in this top lane, and that's not great if you're the Legion side, because the last thing you want to do is see them snowball with that Ravener carry. Especially since the Legion side, it seemed much more oriented to the mid or late game. They have two heroes that can absolutely go late, in Dr. Repulsor and Wild Soul, and my guess is they'd prefer to see them take this game to the 30 to 45, maybe even hour-long mark, just because that's going to usually end up better for them. See Dr. Repulsor in this bottom lane with the support of Nymphora, who's doing a lot of stacking right here, and Wild Soul will be heading off into the woods, doing solidly in the beginning, and they're getting real close to dying right here. Tries to prevent that a little bit, but see how Shurkin does when compared to his Parasite. Certainly outfarming him a little bit right here, but of course you'd expect Parasite's game potential to be substantially higher, and now that that Ward of Sight is gone in the top lane, it's very, very possible he'll be selling First Blood, or maybe just a kill, onto that Magnus Suicide. Middle lane, try to juke on the Flux. He's going to be taking on Tundra. So, Bilbo Faggins, what a guy. Suspected it might be a Suicide Tundra, but yeah, in the end concluded middle a little bit better, and that's exactly what they've chosen to run here. As the Suicide is the Pharaoh, of course. Generally fine for him. Suicide Pharaoh, not a bad thing, and middle lane Tundra is quite good as well. They probably want to be making sure that they get some levels up on him, just because they want the Hawk as quickly as possible, both for the Parasite and for the vision that it's going to be necessary once Nymphora hits level 6 and has the potential to start roaming around the map and ganking. Bottom lane, though, we're going to see some action. Pharaoh is going to have to pop the Hellfire, and we need some serious slows here from Dr. Repulsor. The question is, will they have enough to finish him off? My guess is they won't. And Doctor's tower diving here, and that's going to be bad. He's going to die. And all in excess, in fact, picks up the credit for that kill. I'm not even sure how much damage he did to that Doctor himself, but a really not good play from Fubu. It was pretty clear that he was not going to catch that Pharaoh once he got about halfway to the tower. And if he did, he was definitely going to pay for it with his life, and then he didn't even get the kill. So, not a good series of events here for the Legion side. In fact, things generally across the board not going very well for them at all. Enthos does not have a single creep kill in the top lane. The Nymphora is sitting at just 87 gold per minute. Of course, that's hugely surprising, but still far inferior to Night Flux's 130 gold per minute. See, middle lane is currently being won by Tundra at 330 GPM compared to Flux's 150 gold per minute. So looks like FeIl eSports here getting pretty significantly outmatched, at least in the early going. They're going to have to pick up some steam pretty quickly if they don't want to get rolled over. Because, as I said before, they've got the Ravener on the Hellborn side, and they definitely have the potential to snowball. Double damage rune is picked up by Magbus. He's going for a kill into this Master of Arms, and with one more auto attack, he will get it. My suspicion is Master won't do this perfectly, and he'll get that last auto, but in fact, no, he won't. Now he's going to get turned around on, in fact, and Enthos, with a little bit of greed, cannot finish off the Master of Arms. Definitely understandable why he went for that kill, but in the end, not a good turnaround once again. It's actually below the gold tick here at 48 gold per minute. We'll be heading back to that top lane, presumably, to try to leech some more experience. He's level 4, so he's not doing badly in that regard, but really not picking up much in terms of farm in that suicide role, and I wouldn't mind, I think, seeing an Nymphora transition to the top lane, especially once Dr. Repulsor hits level 6. At that point, it should be essentially impossible for Pharaoh to kill this Doctor, particularly as he's solo, and Doctor should have very little difficulty controlling this lane and getting pretty much completely free farm once that happens. So Nymphora gonna pull, get lane control back for her team, and that's obviously of very significant importance. Sorry, somebody calling me. Can't do that, got a text. So we'll see if that matters at all. Anyway, let's see, Enthos, as I said, heading back to the top lane. Actually, apparently did get a creep killer too, because he's 74 gold per minute, but still having to hug his tower pretty significantly. And the ward of sight from the Master of Arms placed just behind the tower will give them plenty of vision of where he's at and what he's doing. Ravener currently sitting at 331 gold per minute, so not quite as good on the CS department as one would expect. And if you look at Tundra in middle lane, he's 28 creep kills, and that feels like it should be better. Either way, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. Somebody else was, we're trying to set something up to do stuff. Anyway, missing shit as I'm distracted. Bottom lane Pharaoh goes down for first kill here for the Legion side, which is good. They absolutely needed that. They need to stop this Pharaoh a little bit. He's at 226 gold per minute, which is not bad for a Pharaoh, and that's actually a hero that really just does not need farm. If you get him to 250 or so, he's golden. That's all he needs. He just needs levels so that he can get those hooks off in those team fights and just be really, really disruptive and annoying. Middle lane, it looks like Flux can get dove a little bit, but Master of Arms could be in more trouble. Try to run away right here, should be just fine as Flux ends up taking the fall, so get more gold for this Tundra in the middle lane, who is now just crushing 368 gold per minute, and only 9 creep kills behind the Ravener in top lane, so he is definitely the shining star of this Hellborn team right now. Ravener also doing quite well, better than I said before. Would have expected a little bit more in the CS department. Top lane, Magnus is going to eat the ball lightning, and he will take the stun as well. Facehug goes through after the stun came off, though, and we'll see. Yeah, Trento's going to fall once again. Really nothing he could do about that, as the combination of stuns and silences makes it very difficult for him to get out of there without dying. Either way, 4-1 hero kill advantage here for the Hellborn side. Bottom lane, once again, Pharaoh in a lot of trouble. Going to be chased down and killed, no doubt. The question is, how long will this take? Hook back onto Nymphora, actually, and he might be able to get out of this. No, he's not. Dr. Repulsor just moves forward. Master of Arms now actually is in trouble, as Shortcan is going to be able to lock him down. Master of Arms should be dying right here with the Ghost Marchers on Boo Boo, and that's going to be a kill. So a double tap picked up for the Legion side in the bottom lane. Again, huge for them. They're going to actually even up the experience right here. Still down about 3,000 gold, which is pretty significant at the 8-minute mark, but not quite as bad in the levels department. And early on, levels do matter a lot more than gold. So having that deficit is not necessarily the end of the world for them, and they can certainly feel a lot better about where this game is, especially as compared to even a moment ago when things were, to be honest, not looking particularly good. But 380 GPM now on Wild Soul with that kill, so he's moved well ahead of his teammates. Dr. Repulsor is a little bit behind him, 340, but the rest of the team obviously not doing very well at all. Plus 400, though, over on the Hellborn side in both Ravener and Tundra's hands. So gold still being pulled up on the Hellborn side, and once again, Ravener, not a hero that you want that to happen on. He's going to be looking for something right here. It appears the Abyssal Skull. Yep, that's going to be finished. And we'll see what he follows that up with. My guess and hope at least would be a portal key. I really like that build. I know a lot of people don't go for it, but that really has never made a lot of sense to me. The Hellborn team does have a fair bit of initiation that wouldn't necessarily require Ravener to pick up a portal key. He could just follow up. The other concern, though, is the amount of ways in which he can get left behind by his team, especially looking at something like a Pharaoh that can initiate from really, really far away, and the Ball Lightning is not that fast. So without a portal key, he's not going to be able to follow up the Pharaoh initiation unless he's the one in the front and Pharaoh hooks in from the back line. So that could be their strategy, and it certainly wouldn't be a bad one. It would prevent him from needing the portal key. I'm just not sure if, in general, you want him to need the portal key, and wow, Enthos just gets dumpstered. Flux is going to find himself in between Ravener and his own tower. The bottom lane Shortcan falls on the Wild Soul as well, but it looks like Ravener trying to chase down his Flux. Pretty tanky though, and here comes Dr. Repulsor. Flux pulling Ravener back in. Nymfora's here as well. We're going to see a stun. Ball Lightning though is going to help him finish off Flux. He's probably going to fall right here as the Ravener and Nymfora chase him down. And one more auto attack, actually last auto attack. Dr. Repulsor will kill him. So Momentine ends up losing his life, but not before he gets a double tap. And in the end, I think that's probably an exchange he's okay with. Not the greatest, not the happiest about that, but not the worst either, especially considering they got the Wild Soul in the bottom lane. Overall, the series of events over the last 30 seconds or so going well in favor of the Hellborn team. And once again, Legion side in FeIl are continue to be in some serious danger. Nymfora heads back to the bottom lane, try to help out Dr. Repulsor. He is continuing to farm this short lane, and I think at this point they need to move him. He has the potential to set up kills around the map. I think Wild Soul probably wants the woods, but I think if you used the Doctor, the Flux, and the Nymfora, they could probably get kills in other lanes, perhaps even push out top or something like that. Magnus is going to need to sit somewhere and farm for a little while because we're approaching 11 minutes and he's still got 86 gold per minute. He's 218 gold saved up right now and sitting on red boots. He's very, very, very far away from not only his steam boots but his portal key. And at this point we're probably looking at a 20-minute plus PK. That's just not a place you want to be. This hero is not going to be effective without that portal key, so he needs some measure of safety, and I think the only place where he can reasonably expect that is the bottom lane. Now, Dr. Repulsor getting set up on a little bit. Will try to jump away at ludicrous speed, avoids the hook from Pharaoh, and he will be just fine. So, the Master of Arms and Doctor coming in from the back to get a gank. Don't find it as Pharaoh misses the hook, but it's fine. In all likelihood, they probably weren't getting that kill anyway because Doctor is that difficult to lock down, especially for a hero like Pharaoh, who doesn't exactly have a long duration stun. Middle lane, it's going to be Boo and Flux pushing this tower in, and as usual, Boo does a ridiculous amount of damage to towers. So we'll see how long this takes to fall. I guess it's not very long, although the Hellborn team is going to defend it, so feeling like they can't lose that middle tower, which is of pretty significant strategic importance, of course. And in the end, the Legion side will back off. As far as items go right now, Steam Boots have been picked up on Wild Soul, that's himself in fact, and Ghost Markers on the Bear. Wouldn't be surprised to see that Mock of Brilliance come out. And Flux right now going for the Steam Boots, I assume, picking up a Veiled Rot right here. And we'll be using it, presumably going to roam top, perhaps even in the Hellborn Woods, try to pick up a gank. There's a Ward of Sight right here on the top river that would have spotted Flux, and now won't, effectively middle lane. And here comes Pharaoh. Yeah, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Actually, they put the ultimate from Tundra on top of Dr. Repulsor. He's going to take a lot of damage. Have to get out of there very quickly. Ball Lightning's attacked on Wild Soul. He's going to fall, so this gank is going to backfire entirely. Tundra in the background with the portal key will be able to finish off Dr. Repulsor, and the Pharaoh hub onto Flux. All of a sudden, there's Pharaoh and Flux dropping from there to the walls, not helping out the Hellborn team too much. It doesn't matter in the end, as the might of their team is much more powerful than poor little lonely Flux. So the gank from the Legion side, probably well-intentioned, but in the end backfires pretty significantly. And once again, a function of Magnus having extremely poor farm. Not to pick on Enthos so much, just he had a hard lane and they didn't do much to help him. Holy shit, you guys. So this is starting to get a little bit out of control, and this is what I meant as well when I said you can't let the Ravener snowball, because he's at 440 gold per minute right now. He's got the Abyssal Skull. He could be 100 gold away from the portal key if he chooses to get it. You can see how fast he can blow people up, even when he actually has to land the Ball Lightning from far away. If he can do that after a PK, he will be able to take out these Legion heroes, pretty much all of them, within, I think, like 3 or 4 hits. And with the additional movement speed that he's going to get off of his ultimate, that won't be very difficult. So it's basically going to be a continuous game of The Legion side has to avoid wards at all costs and know where Ravener is at all times. Otherwise, they are in serious danger of getting picked off. And that includes Wild Soul, who's not the tankiest right now. Dr. Pulse is going to jump into the lane, going to try to pick off this Tundra. And this actually might work. Tundra's losing his life very quickly. We'll drop the ultimate on top of him. Although Dr. Pulse has plenty of mana. No, it's going to be the portal key away, and Tundra will survive. And Vizroom is picked up by Master of Arms. Parasite coming in here as well. They probably don't want to open on this. Their Shiver is there, spotting out the Nymphora. That might, in fact, be their target. And we'll see if Parasite's going to follow up on it. Obviously, they know where he is. But in the end, it's going to be nothing doing. Top lane, and those does get picked off once again by Momency. So it's pretty easy to see that they are taking my advice of rampaging on Enthos, and middle lane, it's going to be Nymphora trying to get picked off, as well Master of Arms. In fact, Master's going to be the first one and the only one to go down. Parasite going to fall as well, so that backfired also. One side. Okay, there we go. Counter. Portal key from Ravener. That's a pretty easy kill onto the Dr. Repulsor. Nymphora going to get caught out here as well, no doubt, as Pharaoh's flanking her quite easily. Hellfire can help out, and All in Excess picks up that kill on your support. So give me a second to call this person back because they keep calling me, and I'll keep the camera on, but I just can't talk.
Watch your eyes. Lightning speed.
Take that, you scurvy dogs!
Anyway, more people died. Legion's side did call a vote to concede right there, and yeah, in my estimation, this game is pretty much all but over. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a legitimate concede vote and a successful one in the next couple of minutes, and in fact, I hope we do, because I have to take off, so might just cut this one short and assume that FeIl is not going to pull through. Unfortunately, all my buddies on the Legion side don't look too hot on this day. And honestly, the draft, I think, was fine. It wasn't the greatest. They're definitely, I think that Nymphora was a bit of a misstep, and I don't think that they prioritized the Magmus as much as they needed to, especially in the early game. I wouldn't have minded seeing an aggressive lane from Magmus and Nymphora, especially against those heroes that came through. Actually, no, middle lane, they're going to try to jump right here, and Parasite going to jump inside of his Puzzle Box minion. Should be just fine. In the background, it looks like Repulsor will get caught out. Mummy Walls here are on top of Wild Soul. Hellfired out too. Stun from Master of Arms, that should help finish him off. And Forrest not going to kick him anything. He's trying to survive right here, but staying in that group for a little bit too long. Meanwhile, before he gets picked off in the background, Ravener is just jumping all over the place and killing shit. And finally, the concede vote will go through. So, excellent timing for me. And it was a good game, well played by both sides. So, that's one of them games that, yeah, they lost pretty much all of their lanes. The Dr. Repulsor diving in the early game was a very bad move. And that really secured the Pharaoh having a better time than he should have. Magmus got completely shut down at the top lane, and I think Flux lost his mid much, much harder than he should have. So, in general, not the greatest performance there from FeIl, but hopefully they'll do some better stuff in the weeks to come. We'll see him in Gold Division, maybe Diamond? Okay, probably not. I don't know. You suck, Enthos. And Shorcan. I had to throw some shade, man. I had to do it. Oh well. Thanks for joining, guys. I'm gonna head off to my thing, and hopefully you guys stick around for more stuff on YouTube. I don't really know how to end this because this isn't a stream, and I'm not used to that anymore. All right, whatever. Bye.